this. Okay, so managing fatigue through exercise. So today I'm going to be talking about, first of all, what is fatigue, what fatigue might feel like, then understanding the benefits of exercise in terms of fatigue management, learning about what types of exercise will help you manage fatigue best. Then we'll go through some energy conservation techniques while exercising. I'll talk a little bit about when rest might actually be best. I'm going to talk about the importance of finding exercise that you enjoy and then why consistency is absolutely key. And as I said, if you've got any questions, we will have time for questions at the end, or you can use the chat box and then I will go through anything that you share on there at the end as well. So first of all, what is fatigue? What might it feel like? So it could be difficulty doing the smallest chores, everyday activities like brushing your hair, showering, or cooking. It could seem impossible. A feeling of having no energy, like you could spend all day in bed. A feeling of having no strength to do anything. Lack of concentration. Having trouble thinking, speaking, or making decisions. Difficulty in remembering things. Feeling breathless after only light activity. Dizziness or a feeling of lightheadedness. Difficulty sleeping. And maybe feeling more emotional than usual. So it's unfortunately a common symptom or side effect of long-term health conditions like cancer, Parkinson's, and MS, and a really horrid, debilitating one. But the good news is that exercise is incredibly beneficial in helping reduce and manage fatigue. So I'm going to go through the different types of exercise and how these are actually beneficial in managing fatigue to start off with. So we've got three main different types of exercise. The first is cardiovascular exercise. So that's anything that gets the heart rate up, the breathing rate up, your blood pumping, and working the heart and the lungs. So it could be swimming, it could be walking or brisk walking, cycling, using cardiovascular equipment at the gym, so like a cross trainer, a treadmill, a rowing machine, a HIIT workout, anything that where you're feeling like the heart rate's really coming up, your breathing rate increasing. So why is cardiovascular exercise beneficial? So first of all, it can improve oxygen flow. So as your cardiovascular fitness improves, your heart can pump more blood per beat, delivering oxygen more efficiently to your muscles. It can also result in less demand on your heart. So your muscles extract oxygen better from the blood, meaning your heart doesn't have to work as hard during activity. It can also lower stress, so that can indirectly affect and improve energy levels. So activity drops stress hormones that drain your mental and physical reserves. Again, it can help indirectly affect energy levels by improving your sleep. So it can help set your internal clock, leading to a more restful night's sleep that can fight daytime tiredness. And then also exercise can trigger endorphins and neurotransmitters that can elevate mood and perceived wellness. So enhance those brain chemicals, which can again have an indirect effect, improving your energy levels. So that was our first type of exercise. Then our second type is resistance or strength exercise, which is different to cardiovascular exercise. So resistance exercise is any kind of exercise that moves your body against a force or a resistance. So it could be exercising using your body weight, so things like squats or wall presses. It can be exercise using dumbbells at home, or even resistance bands at home, light weights, heavy weights. It can be exercise, it can be strength exercises using equipment at the gym, so like a row machine, or not a rowing machine, a row machine, so a resistance-based exercise, or a chest press machine, any of those big bulky pieces of equipment at the gym. Certain types of Pilates and certain types of yoga does count as resistance exercise, but we will be careful there because they do have different benefits. Not all types count as strength training. So if you're doing a stretch-based yoga or resistance class, that doesn't necessarily count, but some of them which are more focused on targeting the muscles specifically do count. So there are a lot of ways, a lot of forms of resistance exercise. But why is this beneficial in terms of managing fatigue? So first of all, strength work can tell your body to build more mitochondria, which is the part of your cells that make energy. It can result in better daily stamina. So stronger muscles are able to do day-to-day tasks with less strain, meaning that everyday movements become that little bit easier. So things like climbing the stairs, getting up from a chair doesn't take as much energy or as much demand as it might do for someone who's quite weak and doesn't have much muscle mass. It can also help with blood sugar control. So muscles store sugar and clear it from your blood, which can prevent energy crashes. And it can help release positive chemicals that again can boost your mood and lower stress. So similar in that sense to the cardiovascular exercise as well. So exercise, strength training and cardiovascular can both boost your mood and make you feel good. And then lastly, our third type of exercise is our flexibility and our stretching. So this would be where yoga counts, maybe even Tai Chi, any type of exercise where you're stretching your muscles, you're focused on mobility, even just static or dynamic stretches that take place at the start of an exercise session in your warm-up or at the end of an exercise session in your cool down. So why is this type of exercise beneficial in managing fatigue? So it can help boost blood flow, so increase circulation to carry oxygen and vital nutrients into stiff or tired muscles. Stretching and flexibility can help release physical tightness from poor posture or long hours of sitting. It can reduce the demands on your body, so keeping the body flexible, so everyday movements require less physical effort. And again, that's quite similar in the way that strength exercises help reduce fatigue. They're more mobile, and the stronger your body is, the less demanding day-to-day life should be. And it can help flush waste, so it can aid the removal of metabolic waste products built up during physical work. So that is why stretching or flexibility work is really important at the end of our workouts as well to help aid the recovery. And then lastly, it can help calm the mind. So if the fatigue you're experiencing is a little bit more stress related, then yoga or flexibility work can really be beneficial in managing fatigue through helping stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system to lower stress hormones. So there are 3 different types of exercise. And all 3 types play a role in managing fatigue. We won't say that one's better than the other. They all have an importance. So yeah, all very important. So getting started, let's say you don't do any exercise at the moment at all. You're really struggling with fatigue. Maybe you haven't been doing any exercise for a long time. Maybe you've recently been diagnosed with a long-term health condition and fatigue was the first symptom, or maybe it's that you've recently finished or you're still undergoing cancer treatment. So fatigue is very, very prominent. So if you're not doing anything at the moment, then you want to be starting slowly with short sessions, focusing on a few simple strength exercises. You want to be moving slowly, rest as much as you need, and stop before you feel too tired. I would always recommend attending group exercise classes or having one-to-one sessions or following along with online videos to help you learn proper form and technique, particularly with strength exercises. So doing an exercise with poor technique can actually reduce the efficiency of the exercise, shift stress to unintended muscles, and significantly increase your risk of an injury. So you can access various videos, various classes through the MS Society, Parkinson's UK, Maggie's as well. So they're 3 charities that I run exercise classes for. So if you are in that stage, if you're not doing anything at the moment, then I do recommend seeking support to help you ease into physical activity and just getting some guidance to help stop you going from doing nothing at all to doing loads and loads. So that's for those of you who aren't doing anything at the moment, and fatigue is very prominent in your life. It's maybe taking over your life quite significantly. So start nice and slowly. For those of you that are already exercising and fatigue is still a part of your life and you're wondering how to manage it better, how to get the most of your exercise, I'm going to go on to that now. So this is a little bit more relevant for you. So we know cardiovascular exercise is beneficial, but how do we improve it? So you might already be doing a lot of cardiovascular exercise and feeling very, very tired afterwards. You might not be doing much and thinking about how you can start to increase it or start to improve it. So to improve our cardiovascular fitness, so as I said before, any type of exercise that brings the heart rate up, the breathing rate up, is going to be beneficial. But we want to start off with light to moderate intensity, low impact cardiovascular exercise. So if you do struggle with fatigue, it is important, or it's going to be more beneficial, that this type of exercise is low impact. So running is probably not the best thing to be doing. Walking, swimming, cycling is going to be more beneficial because it doesn't put as much demand or as much stress on the body, but still targeting your heart and lungs. So it's still going to benefit you, but not put as much stress on the actual body. Start slowly and progress gradually. As I said before, the same for if you're not doing anything. If you are doing anything at the moment, starting to slowly build up can be really beneficial, making sure you're not going from not doing much to suddenly doing loads and loads, and because you think it's going to be beneficial. Break your cardio into 30-minute chunks or even 5 to 10-minute blocks if this still feels unmanageable. So never be afraid to break your cardiovascular exercise up. So you can break it into much smaller chunks, which is going to feel much more manageable. And it's going to help you avoid that boom bust where you're doing loads and loads followed by that crash afterwards. And avoid pushing to exhaustion as well. So if you are starting to feel quite fatigued at the end of a cardiovascular session, so at the end of a walk or at the end of a swim, try and stop before you hit that point of complete exhaustion. So whether that's just 10 minutes into your swim or into your walk to start off with, that's fine. Then you'll gradually build up to 12 minutes to 14 minutes. Yeah, just aiming to avoid pushing to that point of exhaustion. What about HIIT? So HIIT is high intensity interval training. That's any type of cardiovascular exercise which brings your heart rate up for short periods of time, followed by periods of recovery or active recovery. So, for example, cycling hard for 45 seconds, followed by 30 seconds of gentle cycling or rest. So there are pros and there are cons to this approach, and it depends on every individual really. So there are pros. It can help improve cardiovascular fitness and mitochondrial function. It can be more effective in less time, and it can help avoid excessive energy drain from longer sessions. And there are studies that do suggest that high intensity exercise can actually be really beneficial in managing different types of fatigue, like in this study, cancer-related fatigue. So it does depend on the individual. If you have done a lot of exercise in the past, and you're still struggling with fatigue, building back into it, then this approach could be taken. If you haven't, I wouldn't recommend it as the first approach to go into. If you have there are certain long-term health conditions like Parkinson's, where research does suggest that high-intensity interval training can be very beneficial for Parkinson's symptoms. So if you're somebody where you're aware that interval training can be beneficial, then maybe that is a better approach. But it's not for everyone. So take this case by case because there are definitely disadvantages as well. So intense intervals can spike your nervous system and stress hormones, which a fatigued body can struggle to repair. Prolonged HIIT workout without adequate rest can significantly elevate cortisol levels, contributing to inflammation, fatigue, poor sleep, and weight fluctuations. So as I said, there are times where it can be used, it can be really beneficial. If you love this type of workout, I'm going to go on to enjoyment later on, then maybe it is the better approach for cardiovascular exercise. If you are new to it, if you don't like it, then maybe it's not the right thing for you. And also important to bear in mind, it probably shouldn't be used as the only type of cardiovascular exercise. If you do like HIIT work, then try not to make it the only type of cardio you do. So try and get a little bit of low or moderate intensity cardio work in there as well. So like gentle walking, gentle cycling, swimming, hill walking even. Okay. So we know resistance exercise is beneficial, but how do we improve it? So any type of strength exercise using resistance bands or dumbbells, any type of strength training at the gym or at home using a more heavy equipment or yeah, dumbbells, resistance bands at home can work, but some approaches will work better than others in terms of managing fatigue. So I've got a question for you. What do you think will work best in terms of benefiting your body through resistance exercise while managing fatigue at the same time? Do you think we'll say number one, light weights and high repetitions? So maybe using one kilo, 2 kilos, going 30 repetitions, or heavier weights, let's say maybe using 4, maybe even up to 8 kilos with less repetitions. So maybe going for 8 to 10 reps. If you think it's number one, put number one in the chat box. If you think it's number two, put number two in the chat box. So if you think it's heavier weights and low reps, put number two. All right, let's see. Say one, say quite a few. 1, 2, 2, 1. Okay, quite a mix. All right, 1. Okay, this is a point that I really want to stress because it is definitely something that is a little bit misunderstood with exercising. A lot of people are very afraid of heavier weights, and particularly when they do struggle with fatigue, they think that is going to wear them out. So we know resistance exercise is beneficial. How do we improve it? So to improve your muscular strength and muscle mass, so muscle mass or hypertrophy, which is an increase in muscle size, and that is what is key for gaining those physiological benefits that I mentioned at the start, we must actually challenge our muscles. So that means we want to push our muscles to that point of fatigue or failure. It doesn't mean we need to get to that very end point, but when we're doing a strength exercise with the example of a bicep curl, at the end of your set, you want to feel like you couldn't do that many more repetitions. So about 2 to 3 repetitions in reserve. So let's say you did 10 repetitions, you shouldn't feel like you could do many more than 13 at all. We want to really challenge the muscles and get close to that point of muscle failure. So that can be using weights, it can be using resistance bands, it can be using equipment at the gym, but that is the important principle with our strength training. What happens if we use light weights and high repetitions going for 20 reps or more? So outcome one, after 20 repetitions, let's say we're working with 1 kilogram, you could actually go on and on. You're not getting close to failure. You might start to feel tired, but your muscles aren't the limiting factor. That means you will not improve your strength, your muscle mass, and reap the physical rewards or the physiological rewards of strength training. Then outcome two, you will have to do more than 20 reps. So that's working for more than 90 seconds or more to actually experience those physiological benefits, that increase in muscle size, which is the key factor in improving our energy levels and reducing fatigue. So actually, we want to be really careful with using light weights and going for high reps, or even light weights and not in 10 reps, because you're not going to get that benefit and you are just potentially draining your body without actually benefiting it. So strength training with light weights and high repetitions can create a higher total volume of work and metabolic stress. This approach can drain your central nervous system. It can cause prolonged muscle soreness and lead to a longer recovery time than doing a few simple reps with heavier weights. If you're completely new to exercising, we'll go back to the start because remember, technique is very, very important. So light weights are great to use. If you have a neurological condition where the movement is incorrect, say for example, you're recovering from a stroke or you're struggling with arm movement as a result of multiple sclerosis or even in terms of Parkinson's as well, then working with light weights to encourage a correct movement is going to be fine. But when you are aiming to actually challenge your muscles, you do want to be targeting them and pushing them. So working with slightly heavier weights is going to be more beneficial and you won't have to work out for as long. You can make those workouts much shorter. In our sessions, I often say, You can stop at any point, stop as soon as you get to that point of failure. You don't have to keep going to get to that full minute or for however long I'm going for. You can stop at any point because all you're trying to do is get to that point close to muscle failure to actually benefit the muscle. There are other ways you can do this as well as just working with heavier weights. You can do this by adding in pulses, which is what we do in the sessions. You can do this by working with resistance bands plus weights. So there are different ways of doing it, but yeah, I just don't want people to be afraid of lifting heavier weights and working for less time because it is going to benefit you. All right. So we want to go for the middle ground. So I'm not telling you to lift with really, really heavy weights. I'm not telling you to purchase anything massive. Lifting weights that are too heavy can require more skill, especially with compound lifts, so things like squats, for example. It may require equipment that isn't available at home, and it can be less joint friendly for some people as well. So if you're someone who's working with cans or water bottles, if you've been doing it for a long time, it is definitely time to move on to actual dumbbells. If you've been working with 1 kilos for a long time, it's definitely worth investing in those 3 kilos. 5 kilos, again, should be fine for a lot of people with compound movements. I don't want to name any specific weights because everyone is different, but you want to be working within around 8 to 15 repetitions of getting close to failure. If you can comfortably do 15 repetitions with a weight, so go for the example of a bicep curl, and you're fatigued, you're feeling tired overall, but your arm is still working, you're not seeing the movement slow down, then it's a sign that you probably want to go for a heavy weight, slightly heavier weight, and you're not going to get as worn out working for a shorter period of time. And then there are periods of time, there are times where, of course, rest might actually be best as well. So during a relapse or a new neurological symptom, particularly if you have MS, if you feel heavy, flu-like, or profoundly weak, when you're experiencing dizziness or severe balance issues, during medication off times in Parkinson's, when movement actually becomes unsafe, not for everyone, but just when it becomes actually unsafe for you to exercise during those periods. When you have severe sleep disruption as well, if you are undergoing cancer treatment and you have anemia, so low red blood cell count, or infection or fever, then rest would be better. Don't try and push through. Also, when overheating as well, with MS or with anyone really. And I'll just touch on that briefly because obviously we've gone through a summer of very intense heat. So exercising when it's hot is going to feel again much more tiring, similar to the way that doing resistance work with light weights is going to make you feel much more tired by going for longer. So heat is always going to make you feel tired. It might make you feel like you've worked harder, but actually it's not going to help you reap the physiological rewards that doing it when your body temperature is cooler will do. So if you are overheating a lot, then you can stop the exercise, really try and cool down. If you do manage to get your temperature down, you can go again. But yeah, try not to try and push through when it's super, super hot. Or go for much shorter workouts when it's super, super hot as well. All right, so energy conservation techniques. Let's think about times where you are still struggling with fatigue. It's maybe not completely draining you. You feel like you could do something, but not a lot. It's all about exercising smarter and not harder. So it's about making sure you're benefiting your body most without putting extra demand on it. So opt for seated exercises when needed. So if you are struggling with fatigue, you can still get benefit from doing an exercise sitting down while helping conserve energy. So there are so many upper body exercises that you can do when you're sitting down. You're going to benefit the muscles, you're going to get those physiological benefits that I mentioned at the start in terms of resistance exercise, but you're not going to wear your body out quite as much because you're able to just conserve some energy sitting down. Also, make use of chairs and walls when you're doing things like lunges or hip abductions to ensure that fatigue or maybe even balance is not the limiting factor. So we want to make sure you're able to target your muscles without having anything else being the limiting factor. Warm up and cool down. It might seem counterintuitive because you're probably lengthening your workout by adding in a warm up and cool down, but warming up and cooling down are really, really important parts of the workout itself, and it can make your exercise more efficient, more beneficial. So whether that's cardiovascular exercise, start slowly. So if you're going for a fast walk, start with a shorter walk to begin with. If you're cycling, start off with the intensity being much lower, and then try and build up. And then cool down, so finish off with some stretches, some flexibility work, because that can help aid your recovery. And this is a little bit more detailed, but you want to be choosing, if you are struggling with fatigue and you're doing strength exercises, then you want to be choosing isolated exercises rather than compound movements. So an isolated exercise is an exercise that targets maybe one muscle or a small muscle group on its own. A compound movement is an exercise that targets multiple muscle groups. It might sound more beneficial to do big compound movements when you're struggling with fatigue because you're working everything all at once. But actually, it's going to wear out your body quicker than it's going to fatigue your muscle. So instead of doing something, I'll give a more extreme example, but something like a plank to target your core, that's going to be wearing out everything. It's going to make you fatigue much more quickly. You're going to need to stop because you're tired rather than the muscles being tired. Whereas if you were doing something like toe taps lying on your back, it's going to target the abdominal muscles specifically, not wearing out the rest of the body. So you're going to have to experience those physiological adaptations to the muscle specifically, rather than just wearing out the body. So in the online program, I have a library of classes designed for people who are struggling with fatigue. And in these sessions, we focus on isolated exercises rather than compound movements to help benefit your body, but without wearing it out as much. Break your workouts up into shorter sessions, so never be afraid to break things up. Even if you just want to do or focus on one exercise, have a break throughout the day, then a different exercise. That is why working with slightly heavier weights as well can be more beneficial, because you can benefit the muscle in a shorter period of time. You can hit that point of close to muscle failure, or increasing your potential for hypertrophy in a shorter period of time. So shorter sessions can be really beneficial. Even if you're new as well and working with lighter weights, don't be afraid to break your workouts up. And adapt your sessions to help with consistency. So similar thing, really. Feel free, if you planned a 40-minute session, feel free to just do a 5-10-minute session. And again, similar point here, keep some intensity, but do adjust the volume, so reducing the session length. And then lastly, work with your energy levels. So try and exercise when you feel more energized, because that's when you're going to get the most out of your workout or out of your exercise, rather than when periods of time where you're feeling less energized. And then really important to stay consistent. So when experiencing severe fatigue, focus on maintaining function, not improving your fitness. Opt for shorter sessions, fewer sets, more rest, but try and avoid stopping completely unless you really, really have to. So it might not be it might not be equally as beneficial as the workout you planned, but both in terms of maintaining function and also for motivational purposes, it can be really beneficial to just shorten your workouts, do something rather than nothing. As soon as you do nothing, you've lost that routine, you've lost that habit. It's going to be hard. It's going to be doubly hard to do next time round. So really try your best to stay consistent. All right, then going on to enjoyment. So what about enjoyment? So let's say I'll give you some examples of exercise that probably I wouldn't recommend as the most beneficial for someone who's struggling with fatigue, but let's say you enjoy it. So we'll give the example, maybe you do an exercise class where you're working with 1 kilogram of weight and you're doing lots and lots of repetitions and you love it. Maybe you're playing a team sport, you struggle with fatigue, but you love doing this team sport. It's maybe not the most efficient way of improving your cardiovascular fitness while managing your energy levels. Maybe you enjoy running, so that's a high impact activity, which isn't going to be as beneficial for when you're managing fatigue or you're struggling with your energy levels, but you love it. So what about enjoyment? So yeah, as I said, I wouldn't recommend them as the best approach. So that's not necessarily working out smarter rather than harder. However, enjoying exercise can help lower stress hormones like cortisol, which can cause tiredness. It can boost your energy. So moving in a way that you enjoy releases feel-good chemicals that lift your mood and your energy levels. And enjoyable exercises do feel physically and mentally easier to do. So even though I wouldn't necessarily recommend starting them now if you're not doing them, if you are doing them and you are loving them, I would never recommend you stop what you're doing because enjoyment is a big factor. If you're doing them just for the sake of doing them, then again, probably not the best thing to be doing. But there are benefits to enjoying what you're doing. Oh, and also again, liking your routine will help you stay consistent. So it can help you with your routine, with your exercise routine, rather than leaving you drained. So for anyone who's not a member, I know quite a few of you are here. Actually, even if you are a member, we've got a few exciting changes taking place in September. So last month, I asked for your feedback on the online program, and we are mixing things up. So one suggestion from you was that some of you wanted to see a bit of a change just to switch things up a bit. So we have got a new timetable, which is starting in September. This is the new timetable. It is similar to the old one. The main difference is that Monday is becoming upper body strength and core, and then Tuesday is becoming lower body strength and balance. For anyone who's not a member, I run 6 live classes a week. It includes all elements of health, cardiovascular health, cardiovascular fitness, muscular strength, flexibility, balance exercises in the program. So it's aiming to be a kind of a complete program where you're able to target all the different elements of strength and fitness. We've got Dance with Steph as well. That's a cardiovascular class, also focusing on coordination and balance as well. We've got strength sessions. We've got a HIIT session as well, a short HIIT session. So that is our online class timetable for anyone who's interested in joining. Also included in our online library. So all classes are delivered live. However, we've also got all classes are recorded. So we've also got a library where you can access the recordings and follow along with them in your own time. We've got a library of shorter length classes ranging from 5 to 15 minutes, which are perfect for the days you are low on energy. So for some of our members who do struggle with fatigue more, rather than participating in our full length classes, which are either 15, 30 or 45 minutes, they follow along with multiple shorter length sessions. We've got exercise videos designed to address specific symptoms such as fatigue by incorporating more mobility work and isolated strength exercises. We've got exercise videos to address other symptoms, including balance, coordination, posture, foot drop, and exercises like our PD power exercises to help with neuroplastic change. And then again, our other 2 brand new features based on our members' feedback from last month. So some of you asked for an opportunity to receive one-to-one support, just a short chat, to go through exercise specifically for you to make sure you're doing the right thing, to check that you're doing the best thing for yourself. So in our membership, I have now created a place where you can book a 10-minute slot for a one-to-one session with me. This is all included in the membership. So for anyone who does have any more questions, you can book one of those. You can have a quick chat with me to go through anything specifically for yourself. We've also got, so we used to do exercise testing. This was when I first started the program. Every 3 months, we'd go through a series of exercise tests, which include things like a sit to stand test, a balance test, a mobility test, an upper body strength test. You would then record your scores, and then the aim would be to see how you're progressing with your strength, with your fitness over time. I'm going to be bringing back the exercise testing. So every 3 months, we're going to go through these exercise test scores. And we also now have a place on the website where you can record your scores, which means that I will see them as well as yourself. And if you do lose them, you can visit there and find out what your scores were. So a place to record them, and hopefully that will help with motivation as well. So if anyone is interested and is not currently a member, I'm currently running a 14-day free trial, which will go on through the first week in September. There's no obligation to join after the trial. It's just a chance for you to give it a go, see what it is like. If you do decide you do want to join after the trial, then it is just £34 a month for all of our live classes, all of our recordings, our resources, and the opportunity for a chat as well. And then lastly, just coming back to staying consistent, because I want to stress this point. This is the most important thing when managing your fatigue. So consistency is so key. We want to ultimately be avoiding the boom bust. So here's the graph underneath of doing loads and loads where we're feeling good, followed by nothing at all where when we're feeling terrible and crash the next day. So consistency is key, and a few tips for staying consistent. Schedule it. So treat exercise like a non-negotiable appointment. It doesn't matter if you need to modify it. So it doesn't need to be exactly what you scheduled. So if you scheduled a 30-minute session, don't worry if you need to modify it to make it a 5-10-minute session. Choose something that's more manageable. Mix it up. So if your routine isn't working, then don't be afraid to try something new to keep things interesting and prevent boredom. Because as I said before, enjoyment can play a big part in improving energy levels, in improving managing fatigue, and in helping you stay motivated. So I will leave it there. If you've got any questions now, we've got about 5 minutes at the end for any questions. So